Welcome,
Welcome.
Housewives of True Crime,
That's right.
up in here.
Been here. How are you?
Oh, I am just fabtabulous. You like that
I
word?
actually I'm surprised in all these years I have not heard you use that before. You like to inject tab into whatever.
It's true. I might have used that once before, but it's not a regular, but it should be.
That sounds like
Mhm.
a theme for an obnoxious birthday party for yourself.
Yes. For my 50th. Okay.
If you want to, oh yeah, Fatabulous 50.
Yeah, it's a good one.
That's a good one. Okay, well, I am not Fatabulous. I am so stressed the F out.
Yes.
I because we are leaving.
So we're recording on Wednesday. We leave tomorrow for Crime Con. So it will be a thing of the past by the time you hear this. But
So
yes.
please let all of my children have gotten brought to, picked up, fed, no meltdowns.
Yeah,
My husband is flying alone with them all the way across the country.
he is. And he has a layover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
gotta get all that ready. I gotta
It's
figure
better than
out
driving.
entertainment, you know,
Yeah.
for the plane. I'm very worried about it. And let me tell you what is making me more worried is I am going to leave, really nice itemized lists like I do. Like you need to be here at this time, this time, this time, right?
Right.
But he's not hearing me right now because we have a rat problem.
In your house?
Not in my house, outside of the
Outside.
house.
Oh my God. Remember when I had that and that one woman down my street, she wrote us or she wrote,
She wrote us, call a fucking exterminator, bitch.
call a fucking exterminator, bitch.
Okay, well,
She texted
listen,
me.
we've got all kinds of contraptions. I don't want anything that the dog can, like there's cages,
Yeah.
things are getting delivered every day, new things, right? He's got going on. He wakes up. He does not make me coffee right away. He wakes up, he goes, checks his traps.
What an asshole. Didn't make you coffee.
Totally. And then he tells me about, what's the take for the day. And then he comes home from work, doesn't say hi to me or the kids.
I know he checks the traps. He's like, he is such a doer like that, your husband.
Oh my God. Because the next door neighbor is this old man who seems fine, but not very conversational. And he finally had a conversation with my husband about rats. And my husband took it some kind of way. Like the guy was saying we were the ones that brought them.
Oh, I see.
And
they're like, no.
He's like, oh my God, are you kidding me? My husband is like, no way. First of all, I yanked out our whole backyard. Like, I'm on it. Like, and he really is. Like, don't threaten him.
God.
Okay. So he's like, oh, I'm going to exterminate the F out of this neighborhood.
Okay. Go, Jeremiah.
So he has refocused. His focus is not on me and the children. And my daughter did I tell you this, is running for school president.
Yes, you did.
Yeah. And I am missing it. She's giving her speech on Friday.
Oh gosh. Wow. Is Jeremiah going to go watch it?
Yeah. I hope so. If he can pull himself away.
Okay, good. Yeah.
But I am so worried, you guys, because she's not going to win.
Oh,
like there is like no chance at all.
Maybe she will. Is it Ruby?
Yeah. Okay. No chance.
No chance. Okay. Okay. So I have two things. One is my best piece of advice. If you guys like Chipotle, it was on top of mind because we recorded a second ago and then we had to record again and then we had a little break. And so I needed to eat really quick. So I went to Chipotle.
Okay.
You get the kids meal. The kids build your own. Okay. No tortillas, chicken, fajita vegetables, and rice. And you mix it in the side that the tortillas usually would be in. And it's a perfect amount of food. And you get a little bag of chips and a drink. And it's $4.95. Okay.
I think that Chipotle hates you right now. They don't want you. It's like when you go to restaurants and you try to order the chicken nuggets.
I know.
Like, bitch, you're not 12.
Listen, it is but it's the perfect amount of food. I'm telling
What
you.
am I going to do when my kids turn 12 and they're like, they can't order off the kids menu anymore?
It doesn't say, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it does say 12
It
and under.
does.
It does.
You're not a rule follower though,
I'm
so it's
not.
not your
So,
problem.
and
I
you know
know.
what? If you do a build your own bowl from Chipotle, like an adult size, it's way too much food. So
I didn't.
I'm just telling you all, like, shit's getting expensive out there. If you need to save a buck here or there, that is how to do it. My other thing, because we only have 50 more seconds left, is that everybody knows that's on Patreon and on That Came to Crime Con. But Gretchen and I started a skincare brand, and it is super, super exciting. We would love for you to check it out. It's the best stuff. We'll give you more information soon, but it's called 5 Crimes. Please check out our Instagram. I will put it on Instagram on Housewives too. And go to 5FIVE crimes.com to see what we got going. But you guys, it's like the best stuff. I promise you. I'll give you more details later, but my husband's been in the natural skincare family product line for a very long time. So Gretchen and I kind of said, why you
What
and
we
not
want.
us? Yeah.
Yeah.
We love this stuff. Can it be done for us? And sure enough, it can.
It can.
And it's great. So check it out, please. That's a great way to support us as we support you, because seriously, like, makes your skin feel good, smell good, and have less wrinkles, and makes your hair grow. Okay. That's
Word.
it.
Word.
Okay. You got actual crimes.
You know I do.
You
You
got
know
5 of
it.
them?
There are multiple crimes. That's the way it is, right?
Well, criminals be criminal.
Criminals be, snowball effect,
Mhm.
right? Well, let's get to it. Okay. Today's case is a listener suggestion from Drema Simones. Drema, you saved my life this week with this one. I'm sure she's going to be shocked because she just sent it to me.
Oh,
Usually
okay.
you suggest it, you'll hear it a year later.
Yeah.
But
you liked it.
Yeah, I've been so busy, and she shot me a message, and I knew I needed to look no further once I checked this case out. And then I came across so much good information, even though this case happened a minute ago. In our biz, that is like gold mine.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really think the stars aligned for me because they knew I was going to CrimeCon this week and I don't have time to fuck around.
Yeah,
I think.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
It's good.
Okay. So
I love when that
today,
happens. That's like the parrot case for me. That
Oh, yeah.
parrot case was just right, like fell nicely into my lap.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect. So I am going to tell you today about Dan and Trisha Willoughby back in 1978, which I know what you're thinking, the year of my birth.
That is what I was thinking.
Yeah.
And I also was thinking I was not born yet.
You're such a bitch. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's not the only thing that happened that year. Okay. Dan and Trish met. That was the other major event. And it was a real, typical, first comes love, marriage, baby carriage situation for Dan and Trish. Dan converted to Mormonism for Trish, who was devout to her faith, and they presented as like the ideal little family, having their first daughter in 1980, and then going on to adopt 2 more children over the next few years. They lived in Gilbert, Arizona, which I feel like we've done a case out of before.
We have done a case before. Yeah.
It's right outside of Phoenix. They lived a comfortable life. Dan was a successful salesman for a freight company and a deacon at the temple. Trisha had a little side hustle selling vitamins alongside her mama, which kept her busy along with raising the 3 children. I think we've got a couple things in common, right? We've all got some side hustles and
definitely do. We're not selling
3 children,
but we are selling now skincare and hair care. Seriously, the luscious scalp stuff, scandalous scalp, help your hair grow.
Game changer.
We all need it. Trust me.
Yeah. Okay. So
tell me.
Back to Dan and Trish.
Selling vitamins. Is it an MLM, by the way? Was she doing an MLM?
Yes,
Oh,
she was.
Okay. Just wondering.
Everything was typical for the traditional Willoughby family until Dan started to experience a case of the 12-year itch. Thank God we got through that, okay? He decided
Yeah.
to scratch that itch by means of drinking and dicking, both of which are frowned upon by members of the Mormon community that him and Trish belong to.
When you said dicking,
I didn't know. I just thought that sounded nice with drinking, because everybody knows what I'm talking about.
But no, I'm thinking like, is he like hitting it up with another dude?
He's like,
or okay,
no, with the ladies.
with the ladies. Okay, he's putting his situation in.
Although, that's an interesting thing to ponder. Okay. So Dan became known in his work circle as Disco Dan because he liked to raise the roof so much. Right?
Like seriously, like disco, like a disco ball. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Dan's transformation from the deacon to Disco Dan was extra. His daughter recalls busting him with vodka in the orange juice. So it's not like he's just sneaking out. He's really hitting it. Okay. And his former coworkers recall him earning a reputation for his lack of discretion when it came to all of his indiscretions in the form of getting banged behind Trish's back. He took this brazen butthole attitude to the next level when he met Yasnina Patino Gonzalez. I'm going to call her Yez. Okay.
Not Yasmina.
No, Yez.
Yes. Okay. Yasmina. It's kind of like Pashmina.
But not. Okay. Okay. Yez was technically a Mexican citizen, but she was living freely in the U.S. with alien status. And while she was free to go back and forth between the two countries, she was a real good time. She was the polar opposite of Trish. Trish kept it pretty conservative. And Yez rocked stilettos and mini skirts and Dan's world. Dan could not get enough of Yez, so he lavished her with gifts. He even got him and his new boo a joint membership at an athletic club in Fancy Pants, Scottsdale. That's bold. He joined him and Yez as Mr. and Mrs. Willoughby.
No way.
I mean, it's one thing to slip your dick in someone else, but there is no other Mrs. Macaulay, okay?
Listen.
That's me.
Or Jeremiah's mom, but okay.
Yeah. Or her. But you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. So this is back in the 80s, right? Or 90. Yes. I guess we would be now.
Yeah, we're in the 90s. Like we're 90. In like 99. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's like, he doesn't think that people are, it's a town away. So it's probably safe.
Yeah.
No cell phones, no cameras, barely
you could get away with
a lot.
Yeah, that's true. So him and Yez are living it up, high on, being bad feels so good, when something happened that put a cramp in Dan's style. He got his ass fired from his job. Apparently, Dan had put a couple too many extra expenses on the company card, and it finally caught up to him. So now he's in a pickle because that company card was a big part of how he kept the fun party going with Yez. And he's probably thinking in the back of his head, she'll probably bounce if I can't keep lavishing her with luxuries. And he's thinking, if Trish finds out I lost my job, she'll probably want me to stay home, help with the kids, load the dishwasher. And he's not trying to do that, right? So Dan decided to take his wife, Trish's credit card and use it to keep the party going and still pretend to go off to work every day. Well, predictably, Dan's plan to fraudulate his wife life for his own selfish reasons did not last long.
Mhm.
Trish got the bill and was like, what the fuck, Dan? So Dan confesses to Trish that he had lost his job, but not that he was, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs for Yasmina. So now here's the thing, which is probably why Trish hadn't paid attention to the signs that Dan had been a cheater, pumpkin eater for years now. That thing was that she had started what had started as a little side hustle alongside her mama selling vitamins for an MLM had turned into a serious money-making business. The business was called Metal Botanicals. Trish and her mama named Thera were this dynamic duo sales team and had made their way to being amongst the top 10 salespeople. And everybody knows that it's only really the people at the top
Dude, okay, so
of the MLMs that make real money. Yeah.
I met this family recently and I was like, they're loaded. Okay. And I was like, how in the world? Like, you kind of, when you meet these people, you're just kind of like, how did they come into all this money? They are like the top of a very, very large one of these that you've done before, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Multi-millions. I think people make multi-millions on this stuff if you're at the top.
they do. They do. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? These people are also Mormon.
I think they have a good work ethic.
Yeah. And they're a duo. That's a husband-wife duo, but not a mom and daughter. But yeah, I think it's like, it works, man.
Well, okay. So I'm not saying all MLMs are bad. I mean, I sort of am, but I'm not saying that. The thing is that some of them that are bad, what they will do is the people that make a lot of money, they really encourage them to spend it so that they are.
Yes. So you have to make more. Right.
That's bad.
True. I know that is bad. I see how that can happen.
Yeah.
By the way, that also happens at other workplaces that are sales dependent. For instance, like a payroll service.
Oh, not that you know from experience.
No, but I don't. Yeah. I might know, but from experience, but I do know that the managers encourage you to buy a nice and fancy car because if you have a nice fancy car, you got to pay for that shit when you're 23.
Right. Okay. Life lessons.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it real. Keep the Honda. Okay. So I read these ladies were bringing in $40,000 a month in the 90s. Yeah,
$40,000 a month right now would be nice.
Oh my God, back then. I'm like, that's some serious vitamin hustle, right?
Dude, how many vitamins are they selling?
A lot. Okay. I am a terrible salesperson. Tab, you on the other hand, have a talent for it, I believe. I think in this case, Mama Thera had kind of shown Trish the ropes. Thera is a total lady boss and took a lot of pride in being like independently wealthy without the help of a man. Before she was selling vitamins, she hit the streets and sold bras door to door.
Also for an MLM?
I don't know if it was for an MLM or not. I was just reading about her. And I mean, I take note. I think that takes a certain kind of lady boss. Like, I am impressed.
Yeah. I mean, to sell bras.
I mean, now we don't advocate that you open your door for anybody.
Not even bra lady.
Not even bra lady. But I mean, to be like hitting this, like going up and down the neighborhood, knock, knock. Let me see your tutu, tatas.
Let me. Like, she was like Victoria's Secret before Victoria's Secret.
Yeah. Over the shoulder boulder holder lady.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah. So she's a hustler. Okay. So after Dan had confessed that he lost his job and had been hiding it from Trish, she forgave him. According to the Phoenix Times, she told friends that Dan's newfound unemployment was a mutual decision because her sales had skyrocketed and she was relieved that Dan had agreed to make time with her and the kids his priority now. She said, "The thing I love the most about this business is that it has always allowed us financial freedom to Stop worrying about how we are going to pay the bills and begin concentrating on building relationships. See, that load of shit is why I'm not a good salesperson, right? Like, I would just tell people, oh my God, we're so fucked. Fred lost his job. Now he's home all the time, up in my business. It's a total drag.
It is
I don't
at
have,
first, right?
I don't have this, I
But
don't have the spin. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, Dan, the man, was stuck at home for a minute after his confession, but he actually had an idea for a new business venture, and it included Trish. He proposed to both her and Thera that they branch out to Mexico and he could run the office down there. He said he would be perfect for the job because he had recently taken up a love for Espanol. And so he could do the communicating for them.
Wait, he like learned Spanish from his
Yeah,
Yasmin.
remember? Yeah. Yeah. But they don't know about her yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're just like, that is so bizarre. Like all of a
Yeah.
sudden you just learn Spanish.
Yeah.
Like there's no Rosetta Stone at this moment.
And he's just trying to find an excuse
Or
to,
maybe there
you
was.
know,
Maybe they
to
had
have a little getaway with Yez, right?
I think they did have Rosetta Stone at the time. It was the tapes, the CDs. I had
Oh,
them.
I do remember. Yeah, commercials. Yeah. Well, boss lady Mama Thera was like, no effing way, Dan. She did not want Dan to be any part of her and Trisha's business. But she says he would not quit. They had an LLC, Trisha and Thera, and Dan had voiced that he wanted his name on it. And Thera said, like, hell no, Dan.
Go kick rocks, Dan.
We
And
tell
go
our
get
husbands the
yourself-
same thing.
Go
We'd
get
be like,
yourself a
"Kick rocks."
job.
Yeah, right?
This is mine. That is yours. Just because we're married doesn't mean you need to be stepping on my personal workspace.
No, in my house, what's his is mine and what's mine is mine. Right?
That's right.
That's right. Okay. And that's why it works.
Also,
Okay.
don't come for us. You know,
Don't
just,
come for us. We're just honest. Okay. So, so Dan was pretty bummed. You know, all his good ideas are getting shot down, you know. But so he thought up a kind of a tricky way to spend time with Yez. He found, actually, it was a real shady ass way. He brought his daughters with him to her apartment under the guise that Yes was a Spanish tutor. I mean, first the gym. Come on, Dan. Do not bring the children into your messy mess of an affair.
And is she actually teaching them any Spanish?
Yeah, I think she pretended like she was a freaking tutor. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So, but Dan apparently didn't understand that as girls, even young girls, our spidey senses, you know,
oh yeah,
pick up this shit, okay? Even at an adolescent age. His two daughters noticed right away that he would casually brush up against the tutor, and they were like, he hasn't been brushing up to mama in a minute. That's kind of weird. So when they had the opportunity, they did some snooping around. Really, girls after our own heart. Okay.
How old are they?
One was like 16 and I think the other one's 12.
Oh, yeah. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Okay. So they opened the closet and saw some of Daddy's clothes hanging up in there. They looked in the bathroom and noticed Daddy's cologne. They also found notes written to Yez in Daddy's handwriting. So they did what good daughters do.
Mm-hmm.
They spilled the beans to their mama, who, of course, did not take it very well. She confronted Dan and he denied it. And so Trish actually drove over to Yez's apartment to confront her about having an affair with her husband. Yez denied it too and went with the whole, you know, I'm just the Spanish tutor story. But, you know, Trish, she kind of knew better. She was conflicted though. You know, she's real religious and divorce was not something she took lightly. But she also was like, enough bullshit, Dan. Like, I'm not playing around. So she froze Dan's accounts. So now he had to answer to her for cash money.
That is so funny. She sounds like me.
Yeah, totally. Well, this was a real drag for Disco Dan, right? But he knew he had to play by Trisha's rules now because he was, broke as a joke without her.
Mm.
And he kind of knew she was on the fence about kicking his ass to the curb. So he tells Trish, let's do a reset on our marriage. Let's go on a family vacation to Mexico. I know the perfect spot for us to all bond. Okay. So the night before the Willoughbys were set for that Mexico vacation, Trish called her mother and voiced that she had a bad feeling about the trip and she was thinking about backing out.
Like it wasn't
There-
Cabo. Was he
n- It,
taking?
it was
Yeah,
it
and
was
not
not Cabo.
Cancun.
But I mean, it could be a nice place. It could
Mhm.
be. I'll tell you about it. Sarah told her, go ahead and go. Sounds like you and Dan have a lot of things to,
Talk
work
about.
on. So
Mhm.
take as much time, off and enjoy, right? Sarah's real religious too. She's like, get it together. Save your marriage. Okay. So they were all off to their destination, which was Puerto Penasco. Have you heard of it? It's
No.
also known as Rocky Point or Arizona's Beach. It's only 3.5 hours from Phoenix and has long stretches of beaches and nightlife. But
Okay.
I mean, it does look like a fun place.
Yeah,
But
I have actually been on the Mexico border in Arizona because my dad lived there for a hot minute. Um, but I don't really, I mean, I was little.
well, this is like an hour from the border. So you cross the border and then
Yeah, I
drive
keep
an hour
driving
and
a
you're
little
at the
bit.
beach.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Dan didn't have like the happening touristy area that we would find fun. That's not what he had in mind for his family bonding. He found a secluded rental with no phone or power,
Or
which he
power. Wow.
or
I mean, that's
power.
like, that's
Yeah.
not even like the camping that you do. You at least
Yeah,
like
I get
hook
hookups.
up.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. I need my Keurig in the morning time. Yeah. Well, he sold Trish that this whole no power situation was to help with, the bonding,
Mhm.
the unplug. Well, Trish was so relaxed from the unplugged bonding, she decided to stay behind and nap while he and the kids went for a daytime excursion. At least that's what he told the children. They all loaded up in the car, and Dan said, wait a minute, kids, I gotta go back and get my passport. Then, according to the kids, he didn't come back for 5 to 15 minutes.
Okay.
I mean, it seems like forever when you're waiting in the car.
I know it really
When you're
does.
his age, right? I'm sure he didn't leave that shit running with the air conditioner. And so one of the girls did what girls that age be doing. She changed her mind. My kids do this all the time. She
She was
said,
like, I don't
no,
want to go.
I don't want to go. I'm just going to stay behind with mom. It's probably going to be lame and I'm hot. So she went back to the house. But when she tried to open the door, she found it was locked, which was weird because if you're just
Yeah.
running in the house to get something quick, you don't usually lock the door
You wouldn't
behind
lock the door,
you. Yeah,
especially if your kids are out there. No.
right. And so she was annoyed. And Daddy Dan finally comes out wearing a different outfit. And she tells him, yeah, like, what gives? I'm over it. And so he tells her, listen, you have to go. If you go, I'll let you drive the car. So, of course, she's like, okay, fine.
Mhm.
Right. And Dan and the kids took off for the day. When they all came back, the kids rushed into the house, fully excited to tell their mama how much fun they had and how dad let the oldest drive the car in Mexico. But they never got to tell Trish because when they opened the bedroom door, they found Trish in a bloody scene with a knife
Oh.
protruding from one of her temples.
Oh no.
But
That's like
it's
she's
bad.
still alive.
She was still breathing.
Amazing.
Amazing. They managed to get her to the hospital, but she was pronounced dead that evening.
Oh no.
Dan
I
took
wonder
off
if they would
Trish's.
have found her earlier.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dan took off Trish's earrings and necklace from her that night and gave them to his daughter and told her, Mom's dead, so these are yours.
Oh,
That's a little creepy, right?
yes.
So the Mexican police investigated the murder at the scene and determined it was a robbery gone bad because Dan told them his wife was missing 2 rings off her hand and some money was missing.
Oh,
The Mexican authorities found some footprints leading away from the back door, and they determined from the size and shape that they belonged to a woman. And they also found a cigarette butt with hot pink lipstick. So obviously, they figure they're looking for a lady.
hmm.
They didn't suspect Dan was involved at all, so he was free to return to Arizona. When he returned initially, Trish's mom, Thera, was determined to do anything to make sure Dan and the children were all taken care of after her daughter's tragic death. That was until she got to talking to her granddaughters and she heard all the weird details about the day. Then her gut started telling her, oh,
This isn't
shit,
right.
this Dan is responsible for Trish's death.
Hmm.
I got a feeling. And she was not alone in her thinking. The local police in Gilbert started to receive some tips from people in town who just thought something doesn't smell right about Dan's wife getting murdered in Mexico and Dan having a side chick who's back and forth to Mexico a lot.
And is it that area in Mexico that she's back and forth to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like a day trip. Okay.
Yeah.
So they start investigating Dan and Yez. And they learn Yez kind of gave off some Fatal Attraction vibes for Dan. Turns out Dan had bought her a diamond engagement ring. He told friends
Before Mexico?
Before Mexico, yeah.
Uh-huh.
He told his friends he did this basically to like shut her up because, she wanted him to leave his wife so bad and she wouldn't like get off his jock about it. And so he just thought this would buy him some time and it wasn't like a real engagement. Now, the thing about the investigation now taking place in Arizona was that because the murder happened in Mexico, they wanted to pursue Dan for conspiracy to commit murder. Because if they could prove that the conspiracizing or conspiring took place on U.S. soil, they thought the rest of the case will fall into place, and you can charge someone for that, right? So to prove conspiracy, they needed Yez. And ideally, they were thinking, oh, we're going to get her. She's going to sell out Dan. Easy peasy.
Yeah.
No problem. Well, problem was they couldn't find her at first. It took 10 days. Then, after those 10 days, she was conveniently arrested for shoplifting in a town about 15 minutes away from Gilbert. She was released at the time after the shoplifting arrest. But because the authorities that arrested her were not aware she was like being investigated for murder, but they did photograph the contents of her purse when she was brought in. I guess I didn't really realize that they did that. I don't know if they still, yeah. Well, they did. And there were Trish's 2 rings in her purse.
Oh, no way.
And so after that arrest and she was released, she bounced for reals, not sticking it around anywhere close to Gilbert. So Yez is gone, girl, and the funeral for Trish takes place. And I read something about it I thought was interesting. So the owner of the MLM hustle flew in from Canada because Trish was, so beloved by the company. And he pinned her with some sales award pin in the casket. Trish, like I told you, was a real devout Mormon. And her family observed the practice of burying their loved ones in, like temple garments and dress. And I don't know why, but that just bothers me that he put some damn like freaking flare, like she worked at Fridays, on her sacred outfit.
Or Outback. We used to have Flair.
Yeah, we used to have flare.
The
That's
more
what it
the
reminds
better.
me of.
The buttons everywhere.
Oh my God. I mean, I'm not Mormon, but I'm not with that.
Well, maybe the guy didn't understand.
I think it's tacky.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, lots of people are tacky. They just don't know they are.
Okay. So after the funeral, it went down between Thera and Dan. Dan was able to collect something like $150,000 worth of life insurance, but he was expecting a lot more. So he took Thera to court. Thera had a $750,000 life insurance policy on Trish, which Dan said was supposed to be used as like a buy sell business partner agreement, meaning at the time of death, Dan would own half of their LLC and the policy proceeds were intended to buy him out.
Okay.
I do know that is kind of common practice for business partners to have life insurance on each other
Yes.
so they could buy the spouse out.
Right.
Okay. Well, Thera disagreed. I read Thera and Trisha's assistant agreed with Thera that Trisha's intentions was for, in the case of her death, for Thera to set up some kind of trust with the money and keep Dan's ass on a budget, which I kind of believe, right?
Mhm.
This point, Thera also wants to see her grandchildren, but Dan's not down with that because, things are so tense.
Right.
In addition to Dan suing Thera, Thera filed a countersuit against Dan for wrongful death. And she was offering a $6,000 reward for anything, about the whereabouts of Yasmina. And she was posting posters all over saying so, which worked, by the way.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Doesn't
She
always
was
happen that way.
right. Well, she was found bartending in Mazatlan a few months later in December.
It's a little further down the border.
Oh, yeah.
Been there. Yeah. On a cruise one time.
So the state attorney general had taken over for the police from Gilbert because they had more resources. And so they had taken a trip down to the crime scene in Rocky Point and gathered evidence from the little beach house, which included a Coke bottle with Yez's fingerprints on it. So when they had her back in the US from Mazatlan, she's like way busted, right?
Mm.
And she knows it. And she confessed right away that she had planned the murder with Dan and
With
had been
Dan.
with Dan. And she had been watching the house from afar. So she knew when he and the kids left.
But why did he go back in?
Okay. So Dan was supposed to do the killing.
Huh?
And then she was just supposed to go back in and make it look like a robbery.
Okay.
Now, when she got there, Trish was still fighting for her life. So that's why the whole knife protruding thing happened, because she went to the kitchen and grabbed a butter knife.
How did he try to kill her in the first place? Like strangle her or something?
Blunt force trauma to the head.
Oh.
He whacked her a lot. Yeah. Yeah.
This guy,
So
he's a bad guy.
He's a bad guy. Okay. So Yez says, yeah, she stabbed her, but she says it's more like a mercy kill, but it wasn't really because it didn't kill her. I mean,
Dude, with a butter knife, like
how
that.
about just
Oh,
like a
God.
pillow? How about a pillow over the face?
I don't know. I think all of it. This woman
It's
is
not good, but that butter knife, Lord, that's bad. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So obviously that was not part of the original plan. She said they had made 2 trips down to the area previously to pick out the house and talk some, murder plotation details. I mean, she really spilled it all. She said that she had her brother drive her down there, and her brother and Dan had even met up early in the morning on the beach to be like D-Day, So at some point while she's spilling it to the officers, they ask her for identification. And she pulls out everything she's got, and she has a social security card with the name Alfred Patino on it. And they, of course, asked, "Is Alfred your brother?" And she responded, "Oh, no, that's me." Yasnina had undergone gender reassignment surgery 6 years prior.
She was a dude before?
Uh-huh. The following day, Dan was arrested and also informed his murderous co-conspirator, formerly identified as a dude named Alfred. Dan
Yeah, to have
has,
known that.
okay, listen, Dan has not given any interviews about the subject, but according to reports, he really had no idea and just commented something like, oh my God, the National Enquirer is going to have a field day with this.
Well, back then for sure. Now it's like,
The Daily Mail.
yeah. Like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So naturally, this sparked my curiosity as to, is it really possible Dan didn't know? And let me
No.
preface that it really doesn't matter. I think, it's rad to be in trans love. Okay.
Listen,
This is just pure curiosity. Okay.
Gigi Gorgeous, she's a trans. She hasn't actually had the surgery, but she
Okay.
has boobies. She is like, you would never know, dude. You would like, she's just absolutely stunningly gorgeous.
Yeah. And if that is, yeah, more, I just want to say more power to you. And I don't think if you are in love with a trans person and you didn't see that coming for yourself, that there's anything, wrong with that. No one should shade you for that.
Okay, wait. So
But
let me ask
I
you,
just curious.
did Alfred have like breast implants?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay.
I think the whole kit and caboodle. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. But listen, I just go down a rabbit hole. Okay. And I thought, I've never really examined all the possibilities with this. Okay. And
Well, I have.
so
I took a sexuality class
you did?
in college. Yes. And two trans people came and spoke that had the surgery. One was a woman going to a male and a male going to a female. And we got to talk all about it. It was called, the human sexuality class is actually what it was called.
I took that class. I must have missed that
You
week.
missed that? you weren't there. It was fascinating. It's so fascinating to me.
Okay.
So
Listen,
I understand your curiosity. So let's hear what
I found.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. It is fascinating. And I did not, I wanted to know how it really worked. So I took one for the team and did some research and looked at some really graphic photos.
Yes.
Okay. And my verdict is, it is totally possible he didn't have a clue. It is totally possible. Also,
I bet you nowadays, yes. I feel like then probably was not as.
She was 5'2" and 120 pounds. Okay. And nobody has said that they suspected like anything.
What can I see a picture of her? So 5'2" is a real short dude, like really short. So that is so crazy. I know somebody who is also, he's very religious in a religion that doesn't allow homosexuality. And so for some reason, he goes for trans. And I think I don't know if there's some sort of like the forbidden, it's like almost not as forbidden because even though it is a man, I don't know.
Okay. I just sent you the picture.
Okay.
So you tell us what you think.
Okay. I don't think you would know. She definitely
I don't think you would know. Yeah.
I just want to know what it looked like down there.
I can send you a link, but I'm not going to.
Well, no, I know from my human sexuality class, like what we saw, because we did also get these images. And they try to do a very good job, but they take the shaft and then they put it upwards.
Yeah.
That's just different. Isn't it?
I know, because we don't have one. We don't get it. Yeah. But it's working for some people. I read all the statistics on orgasms and everything.
And it's working?
I mean, for like 65% of the people, it is.
Wow, that's
I
amazing.
mean, I know a lot of women who don't have them, so I think that's pretty
Yeah.
good. Yeah, incredible. Okay. Anyways, okay. So Dan was tried and convicted for premeditated murder, and Yez was extradited from Mexico to be a witness for the prosecution. So she had made a deal with prosecutors in the US that in exchange for her testimony, they would give her immunity because she was not, but because she was not a US citizen, although she had been here since the age of 6, but had the, alien in the US status, she had to go back to Mexico.
Okay. I mean,
But
that's a
they
pretty good deal, dude.
But they told her she had to go back to Mexico, but Mexico charged her with murder. But they said they were going to help her get leniency from the Mexican government for her cooperation.
But they
But,
didn't.
well, I don't know if they tried or what, but it didn't shake out because she was sentenced to 35 years.
Oh, it's
Dan,
not life.
Dan, by the way, was sentenced to death.
Oh.
But there is another twist in this case. Okay. 9 years after Dan's conviction, he got a new trial on the grounds of ineffective counsel. And because Yez wrote a letter to the judge saying that she wanted to repent for testifying against an innocent man. She said he knew nothing about it and she still loves him with all her heart, which is sort of interesting because in an interview where she spilled all the beans about Dan, she told investigators that she was really in love with a man in prison named Tony and she was just using Dan until Tony got out. So, I mean, I guess she
What?
had a change of heart about Dan and then she changed it again because at Dan's second trial, she testified to the exact same story that she did the first
Before.
time, that it was both of them responsible for killing Trish.
Oh my
As far
gosh.
as why she bothered to write the judge, she said she was pissed that her deal didn't go the way she thought it would. And she didn't think it was fair that she never got her engagement ring back.
Mm-hmm.
But her sister had convinced her that Dan is a murderer and he belongs in prison. So don't lie. It'll only make things worse. Thank you, sister. Okay. The prosecution at the second trial had so much evidence to prove that she couldn't have been the sole killer based on blood spatter, plus all the premeditation evidence and testimony that Dan had been behaving very shadily from the moment he arrived at the beach house and like wasn't in a rush to go to the hospital, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I think even without her testimony, they would have got a second conviction, which they did. But
Yes.
this time Dan was not given death.
Death penalty.
He got life. And he died in prison of natural causes in November 2018. As for Yez, the latest report about her status I found said that as of 2019, she was still incarcerated at the Hermosillo prison in Mexico. But if my calculations are correct, she should be released pretty soon, as in 2026. The Willoughby children ended up being raised by their mother's brother, and they're obviously the real victims in this. I mean, they're long grown now. They're
Dude,
like our
yeah.
age. Yeah, yeah, and seem to be living productive lives. But I did read that the son died at a young age in Afghanistan.
Mm.
So, I am just sorry that his life was filled with so much tragedy.
Totally.
But thank you for your service. So, yeah, that's WAP.
Oh my God. Girl.
It's a real all over the place one.
And Thora.
Sarah.
Whatever happened with her and her MLM company?
It's not, I did look it up and it is not around anymore.
Okay.
And I did actually not look up if Thera still is, but I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, she clearly took all her vitamins and, she doesn't drink. So she'll probably live forever.
Probably. Probably.
Yeah, but I mean, it is also like the whole second trial thing is like so tragic, right? The family has to like
Yeah, it's
go through
awful.
everything again.
It's
Womp
awful.
womp. I mean, unless they're innocent, which sometimes they are.
You just did one last
They
week.
get it, yeah, they get it wrong the first time. Yeah.
Yeah, happens. Okay, well, thank you for that, Crutchy Poo. We are almost at an hour, so that was perfect timing.
Oh my God.
If you guys have not given us a review, we would love you to do that. That helps Apple. If you listen on Apple, if you have not subscribed to our bonus content, you can do that really easily on the Clink Clink Club on Apple. You can go to patreon.com/housewives of true crime. What did I say? Patreon.com/housewives of true crime. I'm losing my marbles here. Or on Spotify, you can go to Housewives of True Crime bonus and you can support us. Also, now you can go to 5 Crimes to support us as we also support you and your beauty endeavors, which for us is always like, we don't want wrinkles, we don't want cellulite, we want nice, smooth skin, and we want our hair to grow. And so those were our top 5, like our top priorities, right? So we started there. And that's what you guys will get. And I promise you'll love it. So head to 5crimes.com and sign up for our pre-orders. They probably will sell out fast, our initial one. So get it while you can. We'll be making more. And I think that's it for today. Crutchy Poo.
I just
What?
want to add one thing that
Yes.
if you're watching this on YouTube, I am in the middle of making my children's birthday cakes.
Did you bring it in?
They're
Show us.
No, that's not what I'm gonna
Oh,
do. But they need to be like in the freezer and made, we're leaving for CrimeCon tomorrow. Anyways, that's what I'm wearing. I didn't realize I had my apron on still for this whole recording.
oh, you do. That's
But
real
that's
cute
why
that you wear an
I'm
apron.
not wearing like some funky outfit. I just wanted to clear that up.
Oh my God, that is so funny. I actually thought, like, stand up for a second, because you did do something where I was like, I think that's an Aviator Nation sweatshirt, but I can't like
Yeah,
tell
it
what's
is.
going on. But now I know you have your cutesy little apron on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, so if you want to see it, go to YouTube.
That's right. Giving it
All
all
right.
up here. Okay.
Clink, clink.
Clink, clink.